What's up, guys, gals, non-binary pals, and none of the above? This is DL back here covering a game between alexcoolrocket and Kara, also known as 5imian, in the TBL versus TTM war that's been going on. I've been playing in it. I'll be covering some of my games from it, I think, after the playoffs are over. We're just wrapping up the regular season portion of it right now. And, yeah, we got a battle between Kara, who's 0-2, and Alex, who's currently 0-1. It's a pretty interesting matchup. Kara's team doesn't have an electric immunity, so this Raikou is poised to go in. I believe it's got Signal being tacked on for the Latias. This Empoleon, yeah, Kara's a pretty offensive player. You see a pretty offensive build here. Does bring the Goth, which is an interesting option. I'm guessing to try to trap something like the Cresselia in order to free up the way for Megalopony. Seeing a Protect on the Empoleon. It's interesting. Probably leftovers then. This is definitely the rocker for the team. I don't think it's going to want to take any hit from this Raikou. So it's going to be a Mega Scizor and regular Latias, obviously Megalopony. I think this is Banded Arrow. Not sure what the Drapion is. It's like Fizdef Cresselia. Yeah. I think it's a Scarfictini as well. So that does a decent amount of damage there. Maybe a bit low for specs. Maybe this is like especially defensive Latias. I could definitely see that coming because yeah, Raikou is such a big threat. The Muck probably also another measure taken for that. I could definitely see Alex going right into Drapion or Aerodactyl here, potentially Pursuit trapping this. Yeah, Kara doesn't really have the best switch-ins to Aerodactyl here. The only rock resists are Mega Lopunny, which hasn't megaed yet, so it's just normal type, and Empoleon, which kind of gets smacked by Earthquake. Yeah, Mega Lopunny's not particularly bulky either. Opts for the Scizor, which is an interesting play. Probably calking, seeing it's not terribly offensive. I mean, I don't think it'll die to HP Fire unless this thing's like choice specs. If the Latias even is carrying HP Fire. If it's not, then this should be a pretty free U-turn for Alex. We could maybe see something like a Thunder Wave come out from Latias. It's interesting to choose to go into this rather than the Arrow or Drapion. Maybe just wants to get off that the Mega Evolution for the extra bulk, better able to handle certain threats, like yeah, like this Latias and also like Mega Lopunny. Since if something like Cresselia goes down, then Megalop looks extremely threatening. He's basically picking a sack. Unless this is like fully physically defensive Mega Scizor, in which case the extra bolt from Mega Evolving would definitely come into play. Let's see. So it makes the swap out into Empoleon as we see a knockoff come out. Gutsy play does remove the leftovers as we expected. So maybe not HP Fire on that Latias. Probably not if it didn't stay in. Or maybe it wasn't killing at that range. And Kara valued the Lati. Which makes sense because it's one of the yeah, better things to bring in on the Raikou that doesn't immediately give up. Yeah, because if you go Muck on a Volt Switch, something like Victini just looks extremely threatening since this team, yeah, Latias is also the only fire resist on the squad since the water type's Empoleon. We're seeing a hard Raikou play on the Stealth Rock. Ooh. So nice aggressive play from Alex, recognizing how Kara wants to approach this. With Empoleon losing its leftovers, it's not going to be able to stay around too long. It should be quite nice for Yeah, for maybe something like a sword stance mega scissor sweep, potentially helping things like choice Drapion or Aerodactyl. If this thing is carrying Toxic, then eliminating Napoleon also helps make Cresselia a stronger defensive win condition. But yeah, this is just a free Volt Switch here. I don't see any reason for Alex to do anything else. As you see the Protect to scout the move, but you're just going to go back into Lottie, I presume. Interesting to see if in the case that Kara goes Lottie, if Alex decides to go with the Mega Scizor again, or maybe try to make a more offensive choice. Maybe not expect the Arrow to come out just because Stealth Rocks are up now. But I could definitely see a Drapion play. We are seeing the Muck come out. It's going to take 36. Ooh, so I don't think this is Assault Vest. This is maybe like Gluttony Figgy Berry. And potentially like an offensive Muck as well. Though I'm obviously not quite sure what Kara's team is. Alex is my teammate, so a little more familiar with what he's got. Rocks are up, so that's going to discourage Victini from coming out, at the very least. This Muck could very well be carrying Fire Punch for Mega Scizor. So I'd expect potentially Drapion to come out. Aerodactyl makes sense too. Banded Stone Edge will probably knock this thing out. Muck isn't terribly bulky on the physical side. You could also go for Earthquake, covering both Muck and Empoleon, the rock resist. But that would, if he's choiced into that, that obviously invites in Latias. But Kara doesn't know the Aerodactyl set, and I'm not even sure if it's choice banded either. I just have an idea of what the moves are. Yeah, this is something like Life Orb Aerodactyl, then Earthquake is 100% free here. I'm able to follow up on like a aggressive Latias switch with something like Crunch. So the ball is definitely in Alex's court, but these Stealth Rocks are certainly annoying. Very, very bad for Arrow and Victini in particular. Really limiting his switch-ins. Gotta wonder if he brought any hazard removal here. Because it's either going to be on Arrow, which I kind of doubt, or on Mega Scizor. We could definitely see it on Mega Scizor, especially since it's so knockoff to be one of its moves. So it might be more of a support utility Pokemon rather than trying to be a sweeper with Sword Stance. Be interested to see what sort of Thunderous this is. Alex did not opt to bring a ground type either, so his best check to it's going to be probably his own Raikou. Though Thunderous, yeah, this is Thunderous Eye, so it'll also be outsped by Raikou, Arrow, potentially Scarf Victini as well. So they're definitely thinking a lot here. I guess this is a big 50-50 play. Arrow with the proper move can put in work on a lot of teams in draft format. Just has a really great move pool and fantastic speed tier at 130. And rock flying is a pretty decent typing. And besides the rock's weakness, it's got some really nice resistances and immunities to ground, fire, poison, for example. Shen out here rooting for the enemy. Yeah, there he goes after talking that nonsense. Yeah, that would make sense saying that. Yeah, we are definitely sitting here a lot. I think the rules here allow somebody to turn on that timer if it's been over 3 minutes on the move. Or I forget the length of time for the match overall in which the timer can be turned on. So generally courtesy to leave it off though. But a lot of time being put into this. I mean, there aren't too many things to consider really. It's what's the Aerodactyl's item and what move is it going to go for, at least on Kara's side. Alex is just making a prediction on what's coming in here. Do you think either, I don't think you sack the Muck. I think Latios is probably the most likely play, though that could be pretty terrible if Arrow goes for Stone Edge. We see Gothitelle on the Stone Edge, and it's going to die in one hit. I'm not sure if that crit mattered. If it's an offensive Goth, I kind of doubt it. But defensive Goth might, maybe, but this is surely going to be a 2-hit KO. Yeah, Gothitelle being gone is really nice for Cresselia. It's not going to be trapped today. Lopunny is definitely highly neutered. Yeah, so the one thing about the crit is it really helps Alex in terms of the information game, because it won't reveal if he's any sort of boosting item. Obviously, he's not Life Orb, but he could be potentially Choice Band, and the crit would could potentially withhold information about that. So if it weren't for the crit and Kara was aware it was Choice Band, then Empoleon would be free. But it looks like Kara is going to be operating based off of that information. I'm believing that that's the most likely case for this Aerodactyl to be Choice Band. And this Empoleon's potentially quite difficult to switch into. We've seen Protect and Stealth Rock. I'm guessing Scald and Toxic for the last moves. Maybe no hazard control on Kara's side, which would make sense because some of the bigger threats to Kara's team are Stealth Rock weak Pokemon on Alex's side, such as Victini and Arrow. And Kara might just be planning to pressure Alex to defog himself. To see Raikou come out, I'm going to guess a Toxic. I know Scald, so that's nice. Ooh, but it does get the burn. So that's really going to hurt Raikou's longevity. Probably going to Protect coming out here to just get more burn damage. Alright, they're just talking about how much bad luck they get all the time and how they never get good luck. Oh my god. But yeah, if Muck comes in, then oh, you see the Thunderbolt here, so he's going for the damage now. Yeah. If Muck comes in, it'll probably be knocked into 50% berry range, but yeah, Volt did how much to it? 36. I'd imagine T-Bolt would actually probably 2-hit KO, even through the 50% berry. So Kara is going to make the Latias play, which makes sense. This Raikou is getting really weakened, which is very nice for Kara. If the Raikou can be eliminated, we are going to see Roost on Latias. So definitely not AV, but probably a very specially defensive set. And the longevity on Latias is probably going to be the main game plan here. And sort of wait for Raikou to be eliminated. We see Bug Bite come out here from the Scizor. That's really interesting. because it's probably not defog then, because I'd imagine it definitely has bullet punch and probably either roost or sword stance. You know, likely a 3-attack scissor then. Get some more damage on the Empoleon, but yeah, not having defog's really gonna hurt the Arrow, Victini, and the Raikou as well, who's been getting weakened. See, Drapion switch Harden on a Skull, take 49 and get burned. That's really unfortunate. I'm not sure why Alex doesn't. I guess he expected the Toxic there, predicting the Cresselia. So Alex is getting a pretty some pretty bad luck actually here with these Skull burns. Yeah. Anyways, this is looking pretty bad now for our hero. You know, Lottie's back at full. Drapion's burned, Raikou's burned, both of them down in the 30s in terms of health. The Arrow's gonna come in at 51%. Looks like it's less than ideal Scizor set for the matchup. Cresselia is probably the main way to win this game, but you gotta get rid of Muck. And likely Empoleon if it has Toxic as well. But the best way I can see Alex shifting this is probably with the Aerodactyl. If he makes the right predictions, he can eliminate a Pokemon on any given turn. Probably has the ability to OHKO basically anything on the field, bar maybe a Latias at full health. So I'd expect just probably just a knockoff to come out here. If it has Toxic Spikes, it probably wouldn't go for it since it only hits Lopunny, and Muck can easily absorb those. Earthquake is a possibility for certain. Hits both the Empoleon and the Alolan and knockoff or crunch could be something for the Latias. Though I doubt you'd switch Latias hard in on Drapion. The Drapion will almost certainly be in range of any moves that Lottie has in store for it. So I highly doubt this is. Yeah, there's no way this is Assault Vest if it took 49 from Empoleon. This Empoleon might have some offensive investment. I'm not sure. I'm not calcing because I have numbers bound for start and stop recording. So I try not to calc while recording. So I'd say the momentum's definitely shifted in Kara's favor. Interesting how the long-term games actually seems to be going Kara's way, despite Kara being more of an offense player and only having one Pokemon with recovery. But so far that's more than Alex has shown, though Cress almost certainly has Moonlight. So yeah, this is going to be a big game of 50-50s for some of Alex's offensive mons, like Drapion, Arrow, and potentially Victini as well. Yeah, like the main thing Alex definitely needs to do is weaken and get rid of this Latias. But looks like he is pretty reluctant to make the more aggressive switch into the Lottie, into something that could Pursuit Trap it, which would have potentially opened up a big door for Victini, because as you can see, if Latias gets eliminated, then V-Create is just picking up kills. And then would make it far more difficult to handle this choice Raikou as well. The Protect on Empoleon really helped against the choice Raikou, making it basically possible to catch Lottie on the switch with a signal beam. Yeah, the persistence on the Empoleon's really been a nuisance here. Because even if Cresselia were to come in on Scald, unless it got burnt by Scald, stopping the chance of it being toxic, it really couldn't do much back to this Empoleon. And Empoleon would just click toxic the next turn. Unless Alex made a pretty nice play and doubled into Drapion there. But again, the rocks working against him in that case. Kara being weird in the chat. Like a heartthrob for Scald Burns, it looks like. Look at Alex looking like a bum with no nickname on his Drapion. So we are going to see Muck pop its berry. As expected, it is a 50% berry. And the Burned Earthquake's only going to do 29. And Drapion reveals Life Orb. So it's going to have even less longevity. Only has probably 1, potentially 2 hits left here in it. 1 if it gets attacked. This Muck could prove to be a nuisance as well, especially if it has Recycle. It looks like Alex is going to have a really tough time breaking through this team. Somehow. Yeah, it would have been really nice if the Drapion had not been burned. Potentially could have 2-hit KO'd this Alola Muck. If not OHKO'd on maybe like a high roll. But Alex's best play here is probably an Earthquake, and then if Muck clicks Recycle, then to knock it off. Because if you did not know, you cannot recycle knocked off items. Yeah, Kara's trying not to go 0-3 in this series. That would be a bad look. But already eliminated from playoffs, and Alex would have to win with pretty hefty margin, I believe, in order to have a good shot of making playoffs. Though maybe not if Playmaker ends up losing his match against Evan, which was supposed to be happening today. I don't know. Evan's been ducking. Yeah, just the game doesn't look like it's going to last like a terribly large amount of turns, but it's a lot of time per turn. You just see another Earthquake come out. We see Curse. Okay, this is bad. And Drapion actually is not going to be able to survive another turn. Won't be able to fire off that knockoff. Oh, well, Muck doesn't have its berry right now anyways, to be knocked off. Since Kara went for the Curse. Yeah, this Curse basically confirms that this is Recycle, likely some combination like knockoff Fire Punch make a lot of sense. Knockoff Poison Jab would be pretty hard wall by Mega Sizzler. So this thing is potentially in range of Raikou's Thunderbolt, but I can't imagine he wants to go into it. Yep, looks like he's opting for the Aerodactyl instead. Earthquake should still be able to kill this, even at +1 defense. Maybe out of range of Stone Edge. Kara could make the Latias play. Though if Alex predicts that and goes for something like Stone Edge or Crunch, that would really pave the way for Victini and Raikou both, especially since Muck is now weakened to 57% and no longer has its berry. Makes it completely unable to come in on Raikou if it does not manage to get off a recycle here. So yeah, Kara's play is going to be either to stay in and recycle, and that is exactly what Kara opts for. Yeah, or to go hard Latios. And Alex predicts the Lati, goes to the Stone Edge, but does not manage to kill. Curse Muck is looking like a really big nuisance here and could potentially sweep the whole team. If Alex manages to crit Stone Edge, however, and Stone Edge does have a high critical hit ratio, then it should be able to kill the Muck from this range, I believe, since it does negate the defense boost additionally, to in addition to the 1.5 times damage boost. Yeah, I gotta imagine that's Alex's play. That's the way he probably wins from this position, since yeah, the other option would be going into Scizor and trying to set up alongside it. But with this very likely having Fire Punch for Scizor, I can't see that route really working out. Interesting thing here is whether or not Kara goes for the recycle here or not. We could potentially see a knockoff come out instead, likely knocking out the Aerodactyl this range, especially at the +1 attack. You see a switch into Raikou as Kara does opt to recycle. This is an interesting play. I don't think T-Bolt's actually going to be able to OHKO at this range. Muck has a bajillion Spadef. Even if Kara were worried about it, I doubt Alex clicks like Signal Beam to try to catch the Lati here. So Latios is probably also a very safe play. But yeah, I imagine Kara is just going to click Recycle here and get back up to full. And, have the Raikou die to burn slowly over time. Yeah, the Raikou being burned was really big, actually. It's a special attacker, so obviously the attack being halved wasn't a big deal, but the chip damage is huge. Yeah, it could have been a different game if not for some of these burns. This Raikou definitely could have put in a lot more work. But yeah, the Protect on Empoleon, really nice tech, expecting a choiced Raikou, since Kara lacks an electric immunity. Yeah, just click your moves, Kara. It's been a minute here, and we're on turn 18. See, switch into Aerodactyl here, predicting the recycle. But I don't think, or maybe predicting the Latios to come in. Yeah, I don't think Earthquake's gonna kill. Yeah, just 48. We curse again. Or +2. Yeah, and Arrow just has to pray for crits at this point. Earthquake's crit ratio is not nowhere near Stonehenge's. At least the turns are speeding up. So this is going to be the turn where Kara decides to attack. So we see no crit. Oh, Kara opts to curse. Just risking the crit. Crit here would be pretty big. And Muck's at pretty nice and low HP if it ends up switching out. So Alex instead decides to go Raikou. On the recycle, this will force the Muck out as it should die to T-Bolt at 52%, but the Raikou will go down for its efforts. Kara could save this quite easily and go into Latias as the Raikou will be dead. Unless Alex makes the potentially game-choking play of Signal Beaming. And yeah, that would just lose the game on the spot if Kara opts to stay in. But it would also potentially win the game if Latias comes out here. More 50-50s. Yeah, I expect Kara to make the Latias play, and I expect Alex to go for T-Bolt. But honestly, I think the better play is probably to Signal Beam. Because I think that Alex is in a position where he's in the back and he needs to make plays in order to put himself in a position to win the game. He volt switches, which I think was probably, yeah, that's a terrible play. Because it doesn't kill the Muck if it comes in. And Raikou's dead to rocks anyways. See, Muck opt to recycle. Yeah, this is Arrow has to crit once again. Yeah, volt switch, very bad play. Try to make a mid ground, but it really wouldn't hit either condition. So we see an Aqua Tail. I guess recognizing that it would put it in range of Raikou, but Raikou's dead to rocks anyways. Unless there's defog on this Scizor. Yeah, that's a misclick apparently. Looks like Kara is just content on trying to get to +6. Really greedy. Looks like Alex will be throwing in the towel to save time to play his other match. On Fort. It's gonna be all.